Every day, billions of transactions occur in the world, from buying a gumball to purchasing company shares. Psychologists often study why people make the decisions they do in hope of being able to predict future decisions. Similarly, business professionals seek to understand and predict these decisions to maximize profits. These fields are heavily intertwined due to this similar approach to understanding the consumer's mind. One field of business that is turning to psychology more and more to understand the markets is finance. In fact, whole fields have developed such as neurofinance and behavioral finance, which attempt to explain how people make financial decisions. Through these fields, a deeper understanding of the human mind and the biases and heuristics that we use to make decisions has emerged. One researcher who has spurred major advances in the field of neurofinance is Princeton professor Daniel Kahneman, who focuses his studies on human decision-making and its underlying causes. Through his studies, he has been able to identify numerous biases through which humans make financial decisions. One important concept that has emerged is that people are loss averse. Loss aversion means that people feel more pain from losses than reward from gains. Kahneman gave test subjects two financial choices. The first option would give the subjects an 80% chance of winning $4,000. The second gives them $3,000 for certain. The same choice is then reversed with a choice between an 80% chance of losing $4,000 or a $3,000 loss for sure. In the first choice, 80% of subjects chose $3,000 for sure. In the second choice, 92% of subjects chose to gamble and take an 80% chance of losing $4,000 and a 20% chance of losing nothing. People gambled in the first choice, taking the certain gain even though it was smaller. Yet in the second choice, they chose to gamble out of fear to avoid the loss. As shown on the graph, people fear losses far more than they appreciate gains. They weigh losses about 2.5 times more than they weigh gains. In other words, if you lost $100 in the morning, you would have to make around $250 in the afternoon to feel happy enough to offset the pain from your $100 loss. Another researcher who works in this realm of judgment and decision-making is Richard Thaler. This renowned behavior science and economics professor has identified many biased ways people approach financial decision-making. One concept he has published a lot of research on is mental accounting. Mental accounting is a concept that describes how people categorize their income and expenses. According to Thaler's studies, people have separate accounts in their mind where they break expenses and income into different baskets roughly. Money is spent and brought into these accounts in accordance to how they feel about the category. This strategy, although it may seem rational, leads to many fallacies. Mental accounting explains why people spend more if they use a credit card than if they used cash. Another fallacy, called house money, is when people make money in the stock market, it stays in their brokerage account until they cash it out. They tend to be more risky with this money since they don't see it as their money yet, even though it is. Thanks to the work of professors like Thaler and Kahneman, these insights into human psychology are seen every day in the financial world. Anything from how quickly bank panics occur to why people overspend their accounts can be partially explained by psychology. These insights are continually applied. Some firms now even build their trading strategies off of anticipating human behavior in the markets. Professionals in the business finance sector, especially those in neurofinance or behavioral finance fields, use studies such as loss aversion study, mental accounting, and house money, seeking understanding of how consumers make financial decisions, which will, in turn, increase a company's overall profitability. Marketing and psychology go hand in hand. Marketing is the aspect of business in which a company builds relationships with its customers by advertising and promoting its products, and by understanding the value of their customers' needs. It is the application of consumer psychology as marketers determine what will influence consumers to buy a certain product. Behavioral economist Dan Ariely wrote an article called "Seeking Subjective Dominance in Multidimensional Space, an Explanation of the Asymmetric Dominance Effect" with Thomas Walston. They discovered that the presence of an asymmetrically dominated alternative influenced the consumer's values and the preferred choices when making a decision on what product to buy. Formally, this influence is called the decoy effect. This effect on a consumer is widely manipulated by a company's marketing team in order to win over their primary target audience. In layman's terms, consumers tend to change their preference between two options when a third, less attractive option is presented. While on The Economist, Ariely noticed that their pricing structure for subscriptions was weighted unevenly. Why would anyone choose to buy the print-only subscription when you could get both the print and web edition for the same price? When 100 MIT students were asked which subscription plan they would select, 84 chose the print and web edition, and the company would hypothetically have a revenue of $11,000. When the researchers eliminated the print subscription option, 68 students selected web only, earning the company a hypothetical $8,000 in revenue. The print subscription is the asymmetric alternative. It wouldn't make sense to purchase. It is used as a decoy to make the more expensive third option more appealing than the web only and earn the company more money. Apple's iPod Touch is another example of the decoy effect. Upgrading from a 16 gig to a 32 gig only costs $70 extra and doubles the storage while offering additional features. Upgrading from a 32 to 64, on the other hand, doesn't make sense. The consumer would be paying an extra $100 but gaining nothing significant other than additional storage. This uneven price gap lures consumers into buying the 32 gig iPod who otherwise might have purchased the 16. By adding the 64 gig alternative, Apple makes the pricier 32 gig more appealing than the 16, even though many consumers may have no need for the additional storage. By using a decoy, Apple is likely to make a greater revenue on their devices. With an understanding of consumer psychology and how consumers decide to place greater value on one product over another, marketers can effectively manipulate their customers' preferences and in turn increase their marginal revenue from their goods and services. By now, we've seen that two business fields, finance and marketing, are not only connected to one another, but both are heavily intertwined with psychology. By undergoing studies to understand the decision-making of customers, a company is able to better price and market their products.